What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus G15 Advantage gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna have a look at Lord of the Rings Gollum again, but at 1440p this time. So, as you guys may or may not have noticed, I forgot to talk about this in the 1080p version, but the cooling pad is back. I just figured, why not just use it all the time? I mean, I've already opened the thing up, put different thermal pads on it, put different RAM in it, put different SSDs in it, put different Wi-Fi chip in it. I mean, it's not apples to apples anymore to go stock one anyway. So, why sit there and have it constantly be as hot as it is? And it still gets up to 96 sometimes, even with the cooling pad. So, still figure give it a little extra help though. Anyway though, why don't we now go ahead and grab that cord, or whatever I did with it, and get it hooked up to the capture computer, and we'll go have a look at some settings, and we'll probably end up going through the whole ordeal because we did it 1080p, so it'd be kind of strange if 1440p could be played maxed out, no problem, at 60 all the time, and the other in 1080p couldn't, but hey, stranger things have happened. But let's hop into the game now, shall we? Well, alright, here we are in the game now. We're just going to go through the settings real quick before we hop into actual gameplay. Now we're on 1440p full screen, and we're just going to try Epic. It says custom, but everything is just on Epic. So there we go. We have just reached the bottom, so why don't we go ahead and hop on a game and see how it handles 1440p on Epic. Ouch, and that's a no-go. We are not getting 60 FPS on Epic at 1440p on this laptop. It's just not going to happen. Hell, in fact, we might have to just suck it up and use FSR just like we did on the Steam Deck to get above 60 on 1440p, but we'll still go through all the settings real quick before we resort to that. But regardless, we'll still get a tiny bit of gameplay here. This wouldn't be, well, I consider playable, but other people might consider this totally playable. Heck, I mean, a lot of people that are coming from consoles and whatnot are used to 30 FPS all the time. So this is still more than that. I mean, if you didn't want it jumping around, hell, you could probably lock it at 40 with some program like Afterburner, or the NVIDIA display settings can also limit. I just like using Afterburner because it's right there and I've always got it running. I don't have this screen up all the time when I'm playing games, but it's always running in the background. So I can just hit a key and see what's going on at a moment's notice if I feel like it. Still, this is a shame. I was really hoping it was going to be able to at least do 60. But I guess I shouldn't be too surprised when we were barely able to do 60 at 1080p, right? Anyway, though, why don't we go and move on to the next setting? Okay, dropping it on down to high now. See if this works a little better. Hopefully it does. Because Epic was a no-go. That was in the 40s. So let's see if this can at least get us into the 50s. So, let's get back to the game now. Well, alright, here we go. We're now on high graphics settings, and we're still not able to stay in the 50s. We still were in the 40s before I saw it, right at the beginning. Unless that was just some preloading jitters. We'll see once we get back to that area, I guess. Nope, we still do drop to 49 right there, no matter what. Yeah, 40, 49, 48. Still probably wouldn't notice that if I locked it to 50, but me, I like 60 plus, so I wouldn't want to try to go through any of that. I would just turn on some FSR at this point, I think, if I was just doing this without making a YouTube channel and trying to, show you guys what all the different settings do. Probably go do high, FSR, and call it quits. Well, a couple more custom settings, like maybe turn view distance and shadows down to medium or something like that, but other than that, I think that'd probably be good. Hell, that'll probably be what my settings are at the end. We'll see. Well, here we are, back at our starting spot, so let's go ahead and tone it down to medium now. Well, alright, now we're on medium, so let's scroll through here and see what it all changed. And there we go, we've reached the bottom, so you know what that means? It means it's time to get back into the game. Well, now we're on medium, and it seems like we're still not at 60. And at least at 1080p, the difference between medium, high, medium, and low weren't that much in the FPS department. So I'm not expecting this to work until we get FSR in the mix. It's a shame you gotta do that at 1440p, because then you're not really at 1440p anymore, but I'd rather have playable frame rates if I had the 1440p version and just suck it up and use FSR. And be happy we at least have that. Because some games could just be like, nope, you don't get anything. Deal with terrible FPS, but then the game would do really poorly, so that would not be in game developers' best interest. Especially not on PC. We don't really tolerate bullshit ports here. On PC, we were mostly like 60 FPS plus, preferably higher than that, and we like it to play on high settings and be done with it. We don't want stutter, we don't want game crashes, we don't want none of that crap. We do not do 30 FPS or any of that. Except for the Steam Deck. It's a handheld, I can forgive that. 30 FPS and 40 FPS isn't that bad when you're using a controller anyway. Keyboard and mouse, though, unplayable. Couldn't do it, no matter what. I just couldn't play the game. I just go, nope, guess I'm just not playing this game if I couldn't afford my two badass computers or the game just wouldn't run on them. Like the way that, what was it, that Star Wars game was when it first came out. 30 FPS on a 30 or 4090. Anyway, to the next setting. Well, it looks like it's time for us to get low. So we're on the low preset now. So let's scroll on through just real quick here. And alright, why don't we go ahead and get back into the game? Well, we are on low now, and it's a no-go on the 60 FPS without FSR, it looks like. I mean, we could turn it down from 1440p ourselves, just down to 1080p, but that generally looks like crap when you have to do that. That's why I'm glad FSR and all that exists, and DLSS, and what is Intel's called? Like, Intel EXFE or something like that? I can't remember that one. That one's an odd one, and I don't have any Intel integrated stuff that can do it anyway, so... Hell, even my Intel processor doesn't have a GPU. When I went to go buy this the day of, the K was already sold out, so I was like, okay, well, I want this processor, so I don't really need a GPU in it, so I do probably miss out on the like functions in like DaVinci where I could probably like encode videos super quick with it, or have it help the 4090 out and get things done even quicker, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie, after playing a bunch of Days Gone, a lot of the noises Gollum makes are very similar to those frickin' zombies from that game. It's kind of funny. Anyway, though, well, now we're gonna try a really dumb thing and try turning ray tracing on at 1440p. It went horribly at 1080p, so why wouldn't it go bad at 1440p too, only worse? Well, we're gonna find out how much worse right now. So, as you can see, we turned ray tracing on, and we've reached the bottom. So, let's go hop on into the slideshow, shall we? Alright, here we go. We're getting 9 to 10 FPS. Fuck yeah. Slideshow ho! So yeah, I don't know a single person alive who would want to actually play this game like this, but hey, if you do exist out there, here's how it would play. I missed. Well, who can blame me? I'm not that great at jumping across these yet anyway, and it sucks not having good FPS. Aha! I keep telling the game, fuck you, though, and keep on getting up without having to go the right way. I love doing that to games. I have no idea why. Time-wise, I would have been better off just going around the right way, but I'm stubborn as shit sometimes. Day is near. Go back to your cave. Anyway, why don't we now go ahead and move on to the next setting? Well, now we're going to do FSR, so to test that out, I'm just going to max the game out on Epic minus the ray tracing. I don't think there's a thing you can do at 1440p even with FSR to get ray tracing to work, just like at 1080p. I just don't think it's going to happen. Unless you're okay with a 30 or 40 FPS experience, and even then, it might not be possible. Anyway, though, let's get into the game now. Well, alright, here we go with some FSR. And hey, look at that. Playable FPS. Which means I can probably get a few smidgen more if I go and do my settings with like some high and other stuff toned down. But we'll wait, we'll save that till the end though. We're doing FSR right now. But I kind of feel like taking a hit right now, so I think I will. Got some bomb new green here. What the hell was it called, though? I remember. It's black ice. That's what it's called. 28% THC. Pretty potent stuff, I must say. And it tastes really good, too. But then I also decided, just for fun, to grab a ounce that was $40 at the dispensary, and that one did not turn out that well, but I kind of was expecting that. What do you expect for a $40 ounce? It's not going to taste very good. Well, all right, now we're going to tone it down to some balanced FSR. No ray tracing, though, of course. So there you go, we got balanced. And we've also got to the bottom, so now we can get back to the game. Well, here we go, FSR balanced. We got a couple more FPS here. But I think this is about where it stops for 1440. Anything lower than this and you don't really get any more FPS, you just get terrible looks. At least I think that's what happens. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to be made a liar of my own self here in my own video. That's what it was doing in 1080p, but we are at a higher resolution now. So 1440p is not going to quite, or 1440p. Since we're at 1440p, FSR is not going to be at quite as a lower resolution as it would be if we were at 1080p or 720p and vice versa. It always takes a ratio and cuts the resolution in half, does whatever calculations it does, and pops out a better image than it would if you would just tone it down to whatever the same resolution it made was. At least that's to my understanding how they all work. And NVIDIA does the same thing, only it has AI helping it out instead of software, like AMD does. Well, it does have ray tracing cores and stuff, but they're not the same. It's not AI or whatever, so it's hard to really say what it uses, but just not AI, I guess we'll just say that. And I think Intel is the exact same way. Alright, so now it's time for FSR Performance. So I'll scroll through just to show you I haven't done nothing besides change the FSR. I wouldn't want to invalidate my own tests, that would be really foolish. But anyway, we've made it to the bottom. You can see we're on FSR Performance, so it's time to get into the game and see how it does. Well, alright, here we go, FSR Performance now. And it looks like we did actually gain a few more FPS. Game definitely looks way worse, don't get me wrong, but we definitely got more FPS than we were getting here before. So it must have just been 1080p that happened. Makes sense, like I was saying earlier. It is a higher resolution 1440p, so they're going to be different CPU bottlenecks. We're going to have different FSR resolutions than we would if we were at a different resolution and all that good stuff. So it's hard to just assume what it's going to do. That's why I do this instead of just assuming and just telling people false information. You guys can just see what it does right here. And you can also see that even with the cooling pad on full tilt, we're still getting pretty high temps with this thing. But it is what it is. I still like using it. Just gonna use it whenever I can, because why not? Would probably be getting like 97, 98 on the CPU if we weren't using it, and probably getting up to like 100 on the frickin' GPU if we weren't using it, so it's still doing something. It's just not as impressive looking as it was when I first got it, before I ever opened the laptop up. So, you guys will get much better performance if you guys just left yours alone and just get this cooling pad. And even better if you don't run the thing with all the sliders maxed out like I do. But, like I said before, I'm crazy. You should not copy me. Anyway, to the next one. Well, now we've made it down to FSR Ultra Performance. So let's one more time for FSR anyway, go through these settings. And then after we're done with this FSR, we'll go and do my settings too, which will still include FSR, but I haven't quite decided on my settings yet. I have to mess around with the game to decide that after all. So let's go ahead and hop on into the game. Well, now here we go, FSR Ultra Performance. Alright, this one seems like it did not give us any more FPS really, but it did make it look quite a bit worse. Yeah, we're pretty much getting the same FPS we got before, definitely, only way worse looking. It looks worse blown up like this, but it still looks bad on the actual monitor. Even on a 27-inch monitor, it doesn't look great. And it looks even worse when I'm looking at it on YouTube on my 48-inch 4K TV. And that's with it, I'm sure, doing some AI upscaling and nonsense in the background. But after we're finished with our little lap here, we'll go and do my settings now after this. And we'll still be able to hit over 60, and hopefully the game won't look like absolute trash. But that'll be left to be seen until we get to it, after all. So let's run on back to the starting point, and then we can do just that. I will say, at least the game's not a stuttery mess, though. And there we go. Let's go move to my settings now. Well, now we're going to do my settings, so let's scroll down and have a look. And there we are. Why don't we go hop on into the game now and see how my settings do. Alright, here we go in game with my settings now. And we're getting pretty damn decent FPS, and no, it does not look like absolute garbage. Can I tell FSR is on? Yes. But it does not look that bad. And I'd definitely rather the game look a little worse and get like way over 60 FPS than look crisp and better, but get like 40 to 50 FPS, you know? That's just my opinion, though. That's why games have settings, at least on PC, so you can get bunch of different settings you want. You can twist this game to make it exactly the way you want. Though I will give consoles this, at least they give you some options now. Before, they used to just go, nope, here's your game, play it. Oh, you don't like 30 FPS? Well, too bad. That's what you get. Enjoy. And hell, even nowadays that happens. Rarer, but I feel like when more new games come out, those things are going to get pushed to their limits, because they're pretty much about as powerful GPU-wise as this laptop is, only with much weaker CPUs. Though they do have the ability to stream stuff right from their, their SSDs. That's one good thing about them, but PCs will have that eventually. It's just whenever game developers get off their ass and start adding it. I think it's been a part of Windows 11 for a while now. And so far, the only game that's supported it so far has been Fail-Spoken. Anyway, though, to camera. Well, alright guys, let's get ourselves a little camera recorded gameplay now. Not gonna lie, every controller's triggers feel weird ever since I got my Scuff controller. It has those like hair triggers that are basically like little trigger buttons. But yeah, we get great performance as long as you turn some FSR on. Sucks you gotta use FSR, but it tends to happen a lot at 1440p on this laptop. But it is where it is. The thing is getting older. But that 12 gigs of RAM will be a little future-proof. I mean, look, we're at 7.8 with my settings. When we were at Epic, we were at 8. So right now, if you had an 8 gig VRAM card, you could play it. But you'd be just barely on the edge of playable right now. And then what's going to happen in 6 more months or another year? Then it's going to be, hell, I might be getting into trouble with this one at that point. But I'm hoping there's a 7000 series laptop coming out here soon. We'll go one more lap since this is camera recording gameplay. but doesn't have any like ultra stutter, at least in this area. This might just be like the only area that runs good though in the whole game. There are games like that where it runs great in one area, you go to another area and it runs like shit. But like I said on my Steam Deck video, in this kind of game you're basically going to be in caves your whole like life, like the whole time playing. So it is what it is. I think it should be fine and get similar performance no matter what, I guess is what I'm saying. But I could be wrong. But yeah, as you can see, even with my cooling pad, we're still at 96 degrees and 87. But still, I think that is enough camera recorded gameplay, so let's now go wrap the video on up. Well, alright guys, that is a wrap for Lord of the Rings Gollum on the Asus G15 Advantage 1440p. And unfortunately, no matter what we did with the settings, couldn't get 60 FPS until we used FSR. Unfortunately, that seems to happen a lot at 1440p on this laptop lately. But the thing is, getting older, and that's why I'm kind of glad I got the 1080p version. But again, I only got mine to play like Warzone and games like that. I never really got it to go and play AAA titles. I'm actually just surprised at how well it does that. As long as you have realistic expectations, it's not going to go play everything at 4K 120 FPS. That's not happening. But anyway, it still did a good job once we turned FSR on with my settings. Heck, it even did a good job with Epic, but I figured we'd get a little bit extra FPS here and there, turn a couple things down, and I think the end result was pretty damn good. And we have good frame times, so I'm pretty happy with that. We finally got another game that, so far, I don't want to say anything yet because I haven't gotten that far in the game, but so far does not seem to run like a piece of garbage, and it doesn't seem to be an unoptimized pile of crap. I'm pretty impressed. Though it still needs a little work, I think this thing should be able to do 60 FPS-ish with the right settings without FSR, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll get some updates and we'll come back and give it a try just like we did with Last of Us and Hogwarts and a couple other games. So that's about all I got for you guys for this video though. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.